So before we start breathing together this evening, I want to give a little talk, as I often do. And this one is on armor, particularly the breastplate, the body armor, the panzer. And I know a lot about it because I developed quite a bit of it as a younger man. I developed this hard surface, never a hard face, never a hard behavior. But I was one of these people that went for many years without crying. I would not cry under any circumstances, alone or otherwise. At some point, I started lifting weights, and I was never, I would say, a bodybuilder, but I developed a lot of strength. I think at 31 years old, I was benching 400 pounds. It's like several people. Lifting up several people, that's a lot. And I remember feeling this mass of muscle around me. And of course, strong muscles usually are tight muscles unless you practice yoga. So there was this tightness all around me. And I remember feeling at one point, I thought, this feels a little bit like armor. Like these slabs of muscle were slabs of metal. And when I started to do breath work and yoga, and started to stretch all these muscles, and started to breathe and liberate myself from the inside out, I had an illumination about armor, that the armor wasn't just to protect me from others. It was a wall to keep me in. In other words, I was also imprisoning myself. I couldn't get out. It had two functions, and it took me a long time to realize the secondary function. Maybe some of you can relate to this. That every time we erect a wall or we wear armor, it doesn't just protect, it divides. It doesn't just protect, it divides. And the wall that we put in front of us can equally become our own prison cell that we hand built, stone by stone or brick by brick, until we find we can't get out of it. And that's why one of my breathing workshops is called Some Doors Open Only from the Inside. And once I started doing the breath work, that's what really happened, is I started to feel like the wall was coming down, the armor was coming off, like the breastplate that I was wearing, that you see the knights of old used to wear. I unstrapped it and took it off and set it down. I stopped going to the gym and only went to yoga. And also, then you could actually see the muscles disappearing and becoming leaner and more mobile. So it was happening physically and it was happening emotionally at the same time. So it really was a great liberation and made me realize that in order to take the armor off, we have to be very courageous. Courage is an interesting word. It has to do with voluntary vulnerability. Involuntary vulnerability is when you're put in a position by others. For example, now we're told what to do in terms of stay home, don't work. That's involuntary vulnerability. We're put in a vulnerable position, but it's not our doing. Or someone runs into you with their car, that's not our doing. But then there are times where we want to say something and we don't. It might be something like, I really want to say I love you, but I bite my tongue, don't have the courage. Because it's vulnerable, because there can be a consequence of heartbreak. And sometimes we'd rather break our own heart than let someone else break it. Or it might be that I need to say something like, I need help. I'm not okay. Would you just come over and sit with me? That's extremely vulnerable, and therefore it is extremely courageous. Remember, courage, just think of a hero. The hero is the person who puts himself in danger on purpose to help someone else. But even when you do it for yourself, when you put part of yourself in peril, you take a risk to nurture another part. It's courage. So, breath work, transcend our fear and help make us more courageous.